When a property owner is looking at leasing a property, they need to have certain objectives. Some of the key leasing objectives landlords should be aware of could include obviously rent. The obvious objective for property owners is to secure the highest possible rent. Obviously, the higher rent, the higher return, the better the bottom line. So it depends on the current market conditions and the specific terms stipulated in the lease, such as the length of the lease, credit rating for the tenant. So you may have a situation where the intention is to go for higher rental. That tenant may be a bit dicey, but you're not sure of how their credit worthiness is. They may decide that I'd rather take a lower rent for a more secure tenant who's got a better record, who's got a better chance of guaranteeing me a rental over the period of the lease. The tenant or the landlord may have a certain tenant mix in mind. Like they have certain industries in there with tenants with high respectable trades, which are very in high demand at the moment, which they look like they're getting good returns for. Or they may be looking at certain types of industries like the IT industry or or whatever, or they may have industries that complement. Maybe they have a lawyer and a commercial property agent and a finance person, a design person who all sort of work within the same areas. They all have the same clients. They don't compete with each other. The landlord may have a certain lease term, so they only want to rent it out for a short period of time because it may be a development site. They say may have other leases which expire in 3 years' time. They may be long-term leases and want to bring their leases in sync. So they only want to give a new lease for 3 years. That restricts how many tenants will take a 3-year lease because they've got to moving costs, setting up costs, etc. And you may have to charge a lower rental. Or otherwise, on the other situation, you may look for tenants on a long-term situation, 10-year leases plus. So it really depends. Improvements. You may negotiate an improvement to the property, whether it's, for example, uh, you as a landlord might say, I'm happy to spend $100,000, $200,000 in upgrading the property for the use to attract better clientele for your business. Or on the other hand, the tenant may decide to spend the money on the improvement. It's a business decision the landlord has to make, whether they're going to pay the money or they're going to make the tenant pay the money. Or usually what happens, there's some sort of contribution, it's a happy medium. So you contribute to the changes and then you also get some improvement in rental. That's something to negotiate. Another one is security deposit or bond. Now, if you've got a less secure, you feel as though you've got less secure tenant, you may look at a higher bond. Or if there's a situation where the property is pretty new and if they damage the property, it could cost you a lot of money to fix up. For whatever reason, you've got to allow a higher bond because there's a risk factor on your side. If there's something happens, the tenant walks out or something breaks, you have a dispute, you may not have a way of getting your money back. Maintenance and repair issues. You may have to negotiate with the tenants regarding certain repairs, depending on the condition of the property. For obviously, it's best to have the property in the best possible condition. For whatever reason, there may be things which are very expensive to do, maintain, or changes. And it may be brought up or condition of the lease. The tenant says, well, listen, well, I need this repaired. Or you may negotiate, well, you maintain that as a condition of the contract, and then we charge you a lower rental for a period of time. Or you negotiate somewhere in between. Insurance and indemnity. Landlords may want to negotiate the tenant to carry some sort of insurance because of the risk factor. Maybe they have to pay that to contribute to the building insurance because, For example, they may have a deep fryer or some sort of risk to the building, which increases the fee for the insurance premium. So they have to negotiate on that. So, what you want to do, you want to take the risk with a high paying tenant, and there's a chance that your premium will be higher. You have to negotiate some increase in premium. Legal compliance. You've got to be sure that the purpose of use complies with the local laws and regulations. So you have to be conditional. Maybe you have to make adjustments to comply with those regulations. It's important to note that the landlord's leasing objectives may vary depending on specific circumstances for the particular property and the current economic environment we live in. And landlords should consult their lawyer and financial advisors with the help of the property broker before beginning negotiations. So these factors maybe have to be taken into account, like to here present below.